The bushes shook violently, and Josh suddenly shouted, "We need to get out of here." Nobody questioned him. Nobody asked why, because whatever had made Josh panic wasn't something any of them wanted to meet. The bushes shook again, harder. Toby reacted first. He grabbed Josh's wrist immediately. "Move!" Josh didn't even argue. For a second he looked completely frozen, staring toward the darkness near the wall. Then Toby practically dragged him forward. Everyone ran, fast. Footsteps echoed across the platform. Cameras bounced wildly. Equipment bags slammed against their sides. Nobody looked back. Not once, not even Josh. They just ran. The corridor blurred past them. The station entrance appeared ahead. Rain exploded against their faces as they burst outside. "Keep going," Simon shouted. Groups sprinted through the open gate and into the trees surrounding the station. Behind them came another distant sound. Nobody turned around. JJ nearly slipped on the wet ground. "Whoa!" His phone flew from his hand and skidded across the mud. "My phone!" He almost stopped. Harry grabbed the back of his hoodie. "Leave it!" "My phone!" "You literally own 4 of them. That's not the point. Move!" JJ looked genuinely heartbroken, but he kept running. The phone disappeared behind them, and nobody went back for it. Not after what happened inside. Minutes passed. Maybe 10, maybe 20. Nobody was counting. Eventually Simon raised a hand. "Stop." Everyone slowed down, breathing heavily. Rain dripped from jackets and hair. The forest around them was silent. Completely silent. Ethan bent over. "What was that?" Nobody answered, because nobody knew. Harry looked back toward where the station should have been. What was even in there? "We don't know," Vic admitted. Harry stared at him. "Then why did we run?" "Because Josh ran." "Fair enough." Toby sat down against a tree. "It could have been something dangerous." "Like what?" JJ asked. "A bear? In an underground station?" "A really dedicated bear." Even Simon laughed at that. The tension slowly started easing. Whatever had happened felt ridiculous now. Like they'd all panicked for nothing. But one problem remained. Khan turned in a slow circle. "Anyone know how to get back?" Silence. James looked around. "So that's a no." The station was gone. Not hidden. Gone. Every direction looked exactly the same. Trees, bushes, more trees. The rain had covered their footprints long ago. "We're lost," Ethan concluded. "Brilliant," JJ replied. "Thanks." The group kept walking. Nobody really knew where they were going. But standing still wasn't helping. The forest stretched endlessly around them. After a while, the ground began sloping downhill. Then they heard it. A small stream cut through the trees ahead. Crystal clear. The water was so clean they could see every stone beneath the surface. JJ immediately sat down beside it. "My shoes are finished." "They were finished before we came here," Ethan replied. "That's not the point." JJ dipped one shoe into the water and started washing mud from it. To everyone's surprise, the mud disappeared almost instantly. "Okay, that's actually satisfying." Harry crouched beside the stream. The water looked strange. Not glowing, not magical. Just impossibly clear. Like liquid glass. Toby filled his hands and splashed water onto his face. "That's freezing." "At least we're not being chased anymore," Simon said. Nobody argued with that. For the first time since leaving the station, things felt normal again. Then Ethan frowned. "Wait." Everyone looked at him. "What?" Ethan pointed upward. The trees were getting brighter. Slowly. Almost too slowly to notice. The group looked through the branches. The dark blue sky was fading. Purple. Then orange. Then gold. Nobody spoke. The sunlight grew stronger. Birds started singing somewhere in the distance. And within minutes, the sun appeared above the horizon. JJ stood up immediately. "Hold on." Nobody laughed, because everybody was thinking the same thing. We started filming in the evening. The sunlight continued spreading across the forest. "But we haven't been here that long." Nobody had an explanation. The stream sparkled beneath the morning light. The forest around them transformed completely. The shadows disappeared. The colors became brighter, more alive. And suddenly Harry noticed something ahead. The trees were ending. Guys. Everyone followed his gaze. The forest opened. The group stepped forward and stopped. Nobody said a word. Beyond the trees stretched a valley so beautiful it didn't seem real. Endless green hills rolled toward the horizon. Fields of pink, white, blue, and purple flowers covered the landscape like paint across a canvas. Crystal rivers wound between the hills. The morning sunlight turned everything gold. Far away, snow-covered mountains touched the clouds. The air smelled fresh, clean, alive. It looked less like a place and more like a dream. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Not even JJ. They simply stood there, staring. Because every single one of them knew the same thing. Whatever this place was, it wasn't the world they came from. Nobody spoke for a while. The valley stretched endlessly before them. The flowers moved gently in the wind. The river sparkled beneath the morning sunlight. Everything looked peaceful, beautiful, perfect, too perfect. Then Josh finally spoke. Was it real? The question caught everyone off guard. Simon looked at him. What? Josh kept staring at the valley. The station. The bushes. The whole thing. Nobody answered. For a moment, the only sound was the wind moving through the flowers. Then, Harry frowned. Why are you asking that? Josh looked at him. What do you mean? You were the one who brought us there. The atmosphere shifted slightly. Nobody laughed. Nobody made a joke, because Harry had a point. Vic folded his arms. Actually, everyone looked at him. You've been acting weird all day. Josh's expression changed for a second. Only a second, but everyone noticed. Simon looked at him carefully. You suggested the station. You knew its name. You knew where the second entrance was. Toby nodded slowly. And you were the first person who looked worried. Josh looked away. The silence that followed felt much heavier than before. Ethan frowned. Hold on. His eyes narrowed. Do you actually know something? Of course not. The answer came instantly. Too instantly. JJ pointed at him. See? What? That. That what? The suspicious thing. That's not a thing. It definitely is. For the first time since reaching the valley, nobody laughed. Simon took a step forward. Josh. His voice was calm, serious. What aren't you telling us? Josh didn't answer. And that silence told them more than any answer could. The wind moved through the flowers. Nobody looked away. Because for the first time since leaving MacGrover Station, everyone was thinking the same thing. Josh knew something.